focus so much on relationships, dating, all those things, that we forget that there are some friendship breakups that hurt way more than any relationship breakup.
Welcome back to my channel. It's Ronke Raji.
If there's a hill that I'm willing to die on, it's this. Beautiful women with beautiful energy and with motion should always seek to befriend women who are vibrating within the exact same frequency as them. In all the times that I've experienced weird behavior as it relates to women, or in all the times that I've witnessed people that I know experience weird behavior as it relates to other women, it always came from women with low self-esteem issues, every single time. And those low self-esteem issues manifest in different ways. It can either be coming from the level of one's lack of desirability or one's lack of upward social mobility, in other terms, ungabina mali, or simply just one's lack of confidence. Every single time. And the older women that we experienced in our workplaces who are bullies were once girls, were once younger women who had beef with their friends because their friends seemed to be better than them.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ronke. I am a beauty and lifestyle influencer who also talks about real things. And today, fully intending to talk about dating as a single mom. In fact, I had already started the video. And then I didn't honestly know what I wanted to talk about. A lot of times, honestly, I don't really plan a lot of these talking videos. I just come somewhere and I'm like, all right, except the last one. The last one I definitely planned. I was like, okay, I really need to talk about this specific video. But all the other ones, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And today I sat down. I hadn't even started talking. I was like, I want to talk about dating as a single mom, blah, blah, blah. And then losing friends after marriage popped in my head. And I realized that we focus so much on relationships, dating, all those things, that we forget that there are some friendship breakups that hurt way more than any relationship breakup. And that's when I realized that's a good topic, because it's something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. I've talked about it with a lot of people who have A, just gotten married, B, they've heard and a friend of a friend. And I think it's as important as talking about marriage. You know, each stage of your life, you have a different definition of what friendship means to you. At this stage of my life, I started to realize that not everybody can be your friend. However, you can have a lot of friends, but you just have to know what category to place them. I saw this, I think it was Toke Makinwa. There was a video that she did that she basically talked about this. And she was like, each friend has a box. And you will save yourself a lot of heartache if you put each of those friends in the box that they belong to. And that's something that I've always worked on and consistently worked on till now. However, I'm at a stage in my life where I have so many acquaintances. But on this one hand, I can count how many friends I have. And most of my friends are friends that I've been friends with for 10, 15 years. And I've built a relationship with them that I'm satisfied with. However, it wasn't always like this. I know that when I was a child, making friends was something that wasn't taught. You know, when you're a kid, you like a girl's hair and you guys are friends. You bond over the fact that both of you have the same hair, and that's it. But as you get older, friendship becomes more complicated, and especially when you start reaching milestones. Because I generally feel like everybody is in your life for a reason or a season, to be quite honest. They don't always have to be there forever. Not all friends are forever friends. Some people are just there for a season to teach you, to be there for you. Because honestly, in this world, we all do need each other. And I will never forget, right before I got married, I had a friend tell me, look, I lost all my friends after my wedding. And I was just thinking like, what do you mean you lost all your friends? I was actually confused. Like, what do you mean? Like, what could you have done? Like, I just automatically was it really stuck to me. Fast forward, I was looking at my wedding photos and I realized that I only talked to one person out of all the people that were even in my wedding. And I don't even know if it was after wedding or after marriage, but I also spoke to another of my friends who told me they have had the same experience. And it led me to question, how do people feel when, especially, and I'm talking based off of also the Nigerian culture. Again, even going back to my last video, me talking about marriage, the Nigerian culture is very linear sometimes. And when I mean linear, I mean go get a job after you graduate, after you have after you get married, have children. And it's something that has been placed on us for so long that what tends to happen is when you see other people getting those goals or hitting those milestones, there is a little bit of jealousy and envy that comes with it. And jealousy and envy, I've noticed, is not something that is necessarily a bad thing. It just matters what you do with it. You can either use jealousy to be like, well, they have that thing, why don't I work for it? Or it could be like, oh, well, they have that thing, can you imagine that they have, like just the intention behind it is different. And honestly, some of my friendships, I feel as though I thought were cultivated on solid ground. However, I also realized that the statement people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves is so true. And for me, at some point, I didn't deeply know myself as much as I do now. So I was unable to see other people as they were, because there were certain expectations that I had for people that I never even set for them, but I expected them to meet in the first place. And I'm also a very generous and open person, and I realized that a couple of people that I felt like I was around at a point were not necessarily respectful of the fact that I was open. I think when you see somebody who's open, who's generous, and who's giving, the regular person who is respectful and honest, they would see that person and be like, hey, I'm going to also reciprocate. But not everybody reciprocates. And I'd been in very tough times in my life, even though on social media it seemed like, a lot of things were just going swimmingly, where the friends that I thought would be there for me were not in the way that I needed them to. And the worst thing you can do for yourself is have so many friends but still feel alone. And that was a feeling that I had to start to realize that I never wanted again. And I now realize that I was in control of picking the people that I wanted in my life. And I also started recognizing that people will project their insecurities on you, especially if you're somebody who is secure in yourself. And at a time when I didn't even see myself, other people will see the light that is in you before you see the light that is in you. And you have to be very careful as a woman that you don't bring people into your life that are going to make you feel like the things that you do or how you carry yourself doesn't matter. People should always pour into you as you pour into yourself. And friendships aren't easy, People talk about relationships all the time, but they don't realize that friendships require almost the same amount of pouring into that romantic relationships take, Like, you do have to call your friends each, to check in on them. You do have to pour into them and be around them as much as you can. However, I've realized that there's a huge issue of codependency in friendships that also prevents people from actually understanding that even though you have a friend, it does not mean that you have to do everything together, you have to be together all the time. I've noticed friendships like that are super codependent end up failing. You have to find your tribe, you have to find your people, and you have to be honest with yourself, the type of person you are, to be able to even find other people that are like you. And a lot of friendships hold a mirror to ourselves. What are the things that we're not doing right? What are the things that we could do better? A lot of times I've been very reflective on a lot of the friendships that I've had. And I would remember that right before I got married is actually really when I lost a lot of my friends. I don't really like to try to understand the reason why that happened. And again, you guys, it's always a conversation because, to be honest, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I remember coming out of being married. Not only did I come out as a different person, I came out with so much less friends than I started off when I was engaged, and it hurt for a time, especially because I genuinely believed that I was sewing into people. I was being my authentic self, and it was something that I couldn't wrap my head around. And I was very lonely in the beginning of my marriage, and I started realizing that people always need community. And during transitions in life, especially in marriage, this BS come back again. Okay, I'm just going to say it. During transitions in life is where we need friends the most, but sometimes that's actually where people end up going away. I think some part of it may be like people thinking like, well, this is a new chapter of your life, where do I fit in, because when you're married now, you start to understand, you start to try to build a different type of relationship with your husband. And sometimes as women we can be so focused on the marriage and like things like that we are unable, I would say for myself, I felt like I was unable to balance a lot of friendships. However, even having kids changed that. There's something about also having children, and I feel like friendships that really stay the test of time are friendships that are able to understand you through all the transitions. And not everybody can do that, because a lot of people, like I said, have a way they view marriage and having kids. They view it as progress in life. And honestly, I've realized, even going through so many things, that there is no real progress. And how is it measured? Success and all those things is different for different people. Somebody's view of success might just be waking up every morning and being alive. Another person's view of success might just be having a lot of cars or having a big house. It really depends on how you view success. And I think that I was raised in a culture that viewed success as one thing, which can also lead to a lot of envy and jealousy within the community. But one thing that I've realized is it's always so important for you to try to break out of the constructs of what other people have in comparison to what you have. There's a reason why a lot of people say comparison is a thief of joy, and I tell myself this all the time. One thing I've realized is like a lot of things are not what they seem. We see a lot of like girls trips and people all collaborating together, and there are people who have genuine female friendships that are amazing. But there has been, at least most of the people I talk to, sometimes you see a girls trip. Now, I'm not talking about my girls trip, girl. That Tulum girls trip, honestly, the best girls trip I've ever been on. And trust me, I've had a lot of trips as in my adulthood of going on trips. There's always some type of random drama that comes up, or one person doesn't like this person, or it's always something. And I genuinely feel like, as much as we talk about relationships, female friendship in particular needs to be nurtured in a different way. I think that it takes a lot of grace to be friends with somebody, and it takes a lot of forgiveness. I think as people, we expect other people to do certain things, and when they're not able to do those things, we automatically group them in a certain box or look at them in a certain way. But you have to understand that everybody is going through their thing. And when I look back and when I'm reflective of the friends that I no longer have in my life. And during when I was getting married, I realized that I really was not concerned with half of the things that were going on in another person's life. I was just so focused on getting married because, in a way, something. It's because I'm sitting down, so it's like a rock, and also I'm right next to the water, so it's like the insects. But there were times where I realized that I was a little bit selfish. But as somebody who had been selfless, I guess in a way I thought to myself that I had one day to be selfish. I had one day for people to show me how much I meant to them. That was what I thought back then. Now looking back, I'm like, it was just one day. That was not the marriage. That was just the wedding. And also now looking back, I realized that other people's lives didn't stop because I was getting married. Like they had lives, they had stuff they were going on. And my wedding wasn't even in where I lived. So it was a lot of traveling, a lot of stress, and a lot of things that I didn't see. I feel as though a lot of times when I talk about situations, I try to put it from my perspective, and I try not to put blame on other people because, see, in this life, everybody has a side. No matter how many, like, especially when you're talking to another person and you're like, man, this person did this to me. Especially, look, I hate, in my life, I hate gossiping. I hate one person did this to me and now you're coming to tell me, and just talk to the person about it. And if you can't talk to the person about it, you need to reevaluate the relationship you have with that person instead of going to tell somebody else, And that was something also I had to learn. I had to learn what I liked in friendships, what I didn't like. It's different telling somebody a situation of what happened, and it's different when you're talking to the person directly and telling them like, hey, look, you upset me. You should have friendships that mean something to you.